Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I actually admire that you can actually be this fake, and like when the TV comes on, how you can just change. You're the scum of the earth.
The old doubt to me I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now. Level it. Pound for pound. Headshot dead. That's it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Over the Octagon. We're back with another fighter interview. We were sitting here chatting it up with Morquez, the Black Clover Forest, who just became the CFFC interim lightweight champion.
Yes, sir.
Morquez, how you doing, man? How you feeling after that event on April 12th?
I feel great, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to get back to action. That's it.
That's definitely on our agenda for sure. We were going to kind of talk to you a little bit about what you thought was next. But you know, we do got to allow ourselves a little bit of time to bask in the victory and fully appreciate the time of wearing the strap and all that. And I put together a little sound clip that I wanted to play for you. Hopefully you can hear it pretty well. Let's add this to the intro for our man Morquez Forest, new CFFC lightweight champion.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
You can thank our man Jadakiss for that soundbite. Thank you, sir. Please don't DMCA our YouTube channel. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, like I said, thanks for coming on with us. This has been we've been trying to do this for months.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
We've been trying to get you for months, and we kept trying because, you know, when I got tickets and knew I was going to the Cage Fury event April 12th. Is that when it was? April 12th, right?
It was, yep.
Yeah. Yep. You know, we reached out to a bunch of the fighters. Your opponent at the time, no response. And, you know, this is, we like to consider ourselves the official degenerate podcast of the MMA community. So we took that shit personally.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hell yeah, we did.
We took that shit personally. I'm not going to say I was preying on somebody's downfall or anything, but we saw what we saw
Right.
at the Hard Rock.
Yes, sir.
We saw what we saw. Everybody knew, right? We're here. You're 5-0 professional as a professional now. You were 8-0 as an amateur. Do you think you're ever going to know what it's like to lose?
Oh, man. Yeah. The thing is, I already know what it feels like to lose. So I take L's in the gym all the time, man. That's
a fucking good answer.
Yeah,
That's
man.
just humbleness, you know. That's just being humble.
It's the truth, man. It's the truth, man. Like I go against these top tier guys, you know, and the problem is I may not always post who I'm training with, but I'm constantly gaining experience from these guys that's already in the UFC. So I take the L's from them, and each time I'm getting better and better going with them. But that's where my L's come from. So it doesn't show on the actual record, but. Man, I take some L's in the gym. Yeah,
well, if you're gonna take an L, that's the place to take it.
When it matters the most, you show up. That's what it is.
So let's talk about your fight a little bit that you just had in Atlantic City. It was for the interim CFFC lightweight belt against a local prospect. We talked about this before we hopped on and started recording. I mean, you were in pretty well-known enemy territory. You're a South Florida guy, right? He was local to that scene up there for sure in New Jersey. What was that kind of feeling like? I mean, I know you had a little, I don't want to say like problem, but there was a little bit of thing going on at the weigh-ins with the hair, and I think you kind of felt that the whole weekend there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it was just a lot. There was a lot going against me, honestly. Even from like the promotional videos, like I have some of the sickest highlights for UFC, CFFC in general.
Sure.
And my stuff is not shown the way it should be. The only thing that was shown is me doing this. like, bro, like, you know, so it was like I was already like a super underdog. Like, the respect that I get as a fighter, I'm just so underrated. You know, I'm super underrated. But that same day for the fight, one of my coaches texted me and she was like, "How are you feeling, champ?" And I was like, "Dangerous." Like something, it was just
Oh
something
yeah.
about this fight that I was like, man, this is the most confident that I've been. Like I just had so much against me, but I knew the type of training camp that I had. And also I wanted to get this win back. Like Billy Q texted me, he was like, "Hey, get this one back for us." So, you know, I'm part of the Gracie Network and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, man.
different. It's time. I was just ready, man.
Yeah. So does that kind of did that play into your motivation a little bit? I mean, having kind of all the chips stacked up against you like that.
Yeah, I would say so. And also me, like mentally, I'm just like, man, I have to keep testing myself. Like for me, fighting someone like Nick just put me in a different mindset. I was just like, okay, if I can fight up a weight class against a killer like that, these guys aren't going to hit as hard as him. These guys aren't going to hit as hard as Phil Rowe. They're not going to have the cardio as Billy Q. So I kind of compare that in my mindset, and then I just go out there and I show how hungry I am.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you showed it. For anybody that doesn't know, you know, you're currently 5-0 as a professional, 4 wins by finish. You've only seen the judges once in your professional career so far. And this was a rear naked choke in the second round, which, I mean, you took the choke. You didn't have to take. I mean, you play. We can talk about the playing possum thing for a minute because I've seen you do that before. You know, when we were kind of scheduled to have you come on the podcast earlier before the fight.
Sure.
You know, we pride ourselves on doing our research and watching as many things as we can, and I've seen that move before. But I will.
Others have not.
Yeah, but I will admit, like seeing it live too, I was watching it. It was so confusing because I know he hit you, but you were like way too. To me, I was like, there's no way he's like that dazed from that punch. I'm like, there's no way. And then he like you could see his eyes got big, and he stepped in, and then he stepped into a pretty nice right hand that sat his ass down, and you jumped on the neck quick. And so talk to us a little bit about that. Like what makes you think to do that? Like where does that come from?
Man, I've watched a lot of UFC fights, and one of my favorite fighters is Derek Lewis, and he played possum pretty good. But I train it as well, so I understand to play possum you have to take damage, and to me, like when I'm doing it in the gym, these guys, even the guys in the gym, it usually works on aggressive fighters. Now, I would not advise anyone to try it, obviously, because you have to take damage to give damage. And when Robert threw the jab, you know, he had already hit me with the jab throughout the fight. He might have hit me with that same jab like 3 times. So in my mind, I'm already setting it up. So when he hit me with that one, that was, you know, it did graze me a little bit, but it wasn't anything like that hurt. So that's why I started backing up, and then he came in as aggressive as I thought he would.
Yep.
And then it landed.
It was beautiful.
It was, yeah.
Man, when we saw it, because at first seeing it from I was watching it because he was there live, so I was watching it on Fight Pass, so I kind of got the full view of it versus him seeing it through the cage. So I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm like, oh shit, he's rocked. And then literally a second later, boom, I'm like, he was faking that shit the whole time. I was like, holy shit, he did it. And then you jumped on, got the submission win, and I think I immediately texted Murky. I said, "This dude's a bad dude. They better watch out."
I listened to the commentary on it too, man, because when you're in the cage, everything happens so fast, and I was like I said, I was setting it up. So I honestly, the moment was like everything happened so fast, so I actually forgot that's what set up the rear naked choke. So when CM Punk asked me was I playing possum, I totally forgot that there was a setup to the Red Naked Choke.
Yeah. So the choke was the plan the whole time.
Oh no. The plan was to go out there and bang it out. That was the plan.
Yeah. Okay.
I had no intentions on trying to submit him because I knew that he teaches BJJ. Obviously I train it and stuff like that. So I don't want to get into those grappling exchanges. And I knew that he was working on his wrestling. If you watch the fight, you see how good his wrestling defense was. But also we watched his fight, so we knew he hasn't been tested. He hasn't gone against someone like me. So I didn't, when I saw it, I had to take it because once I get to the back, it's pretty much over.
Well, you definitely rocked him for sure with the punch. I mean, you could have easily finished it that way too.
I think he was still kind of wrought from the first knockdown. Honestly.
Yep.
Yeah. So you bring up wrestling, which is something else I wanted to ask you about because even before your fight at Cage Fury 131, when we were watching some of your older fights, even amateur fights that we watched, what is your background like? How did you kind of get to where you are? Like, what is your background in mixed martial arts? Do you have a wrestling base, or where did this kind of start for you?
So I did wrestling for 3 years. I placed 6th in state. That was in 2012 though. And I beat one Brandon wrestler. I don't know if you guys know about Brandon High School wrestling, but they were some badasses. So I beat one of those guys. But again, this was all back in 2012. Sure. So all of that knowledge just stayed with me. And then when I joined Gracie, Brandon, and Top Brothers, my coach, he was an Olympian, so he just had knowledge and showing me different ways to wrestle. And then I joined this program. It's called Mayhem Wrestling Program. They have a really, really good coach, Coach Willie. He's from Ohio State. He has so many accolades, and he brings in judo champions and everything. So just awesome. Those guys, and he brings in a lot of D1 wrestlers, and like even going to like Kaizen. I'm going against D1 wrestlers, so people may not agree, but I say MMA wrestling is different from folk style wrestling because you have to worry about strikes. So going against the chain wrestling of college wrestlers, it just shows me like, okay, you got to have another move if this doesn't work. So in this fight, like when I couldn't get him down, like I had like one of the moments was I had him on the cage and he had a good base, so I broke off of it, and then that's when I threw an elbow and started just throwing punches because you have to plan ahead, and that's what I was doing. But the Mayhem Wrestling program helped me out, and the 3 years of wrestling in East Bay helped me out big time.
Yeah, that's the one thing, and me and him have talked about this. We watching that fight at Cage Fury 131, some of your older ones. You have some some of the most clean timing on takedowns out of anybody we've ever seen. I mean, it's like the takedowns you do get, they're so clean, fast. Your hands are locked around their waist and they're on their way to the ground before they even know what the hell's going on. They throw a punch, you slip the punch, and boom, it's so fast. It's some of the cleanest takedown attempts that we've seen. That's one of the things prior to this fight that impressed me the most.
Thank you.
Just watching you, I was like, damn, dude. Like, that is like,
hey, look, wrestling gets shit on a lot in fighting. I come from a wrestling background, so I love every second of it. Like, it's it's like, I mean, obviously I don't want to get into like the Khabibs of the world and people like that of the world, but like, if you see like guys like Bo Nickel who are bringing this whole new era of wrestling into mixed martial arts.
Wrestling, that's the thing. And that's what I try to pride myself on too. Is like, I'm gonna wrestle. Yeah. But I want to throw something in there too.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to hold you down for a whole 5 minutes of a round. I want to still make it fun with the wrestling.
God, the fans are gonna love this guy. The fans are gonna love this guy. Come on. Yeah, man. It was a great fight. It was a great, event all around. We had a lot of fun. Your fight got moved up. It was not supposed to be the main event. There was some cancellations on the card, and you got kind of bumped up to the main event. How did that feel? What was that is that different? Did it feel different? You were the last to, second to last to walk or whatever, what was that like compared to some of your previous pro fights?
I was just like, it's about time. That's all I was saying. Like, the only thing that changed, like the mindset was still there. I was just like, okay, now we have to put on a bigger show. And I was like,
yeah.
I told my coaches, we got to change the walkout a little bit. That's it. But in terms of the mindset and stuff, everything was still there. Like we was prepared, man. We was just prepared.
Yeah, yeah. That's
locked.
what it felt like. Like I was kind of following you along throughout the weekend, knowing I was going Friday afternoon or whatever to drive over there, but I was kind of following the weigh-ins and I watched you were part of the live press conference that they did or the whatever it was. And that's what I was thinking the whole time. It was like, I'm like, man, this feels like the biggest moment of your career up until this point. But just based off of your vernacular and the way that you spoke, your attitude, facial expressions, the way that you carried yourself, it did not feel like you felt like that. Like it was just another fight you were well prepared for.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of people know too, and I don't know if you want to share or speak on it at all, but a few weeks prior or leading up to the fight, I mean, you had troubles. You ended up in the hospital at one point. There was things that came up, but you pursued through that and didn't even no one even brought it up. Like it wasn't even a topic of discussion. It was, I'm here and you look fresher than ever. So
with that though, I didn't tell anyone, because I didn't want anyone thinking I was going to make an excuse.
Exactly.
Even though I was positive I was going to win, but I didn't want anyone trying to take anything from me, like, oh, like he's going to use this as an excuse or this.
Sure.
I didn't want any of that. I wanted people to know, like, man, I got out of the hospital weighing 187 pounds. I had 2 weeks left to make
God.
weight. Yeah, man, it was brutal, but I have worked with this nutritionist. His name's Ben, and he helped me. This was the most, like, I felt great. Like,
that's
we
good.
Still able to make the weight. Once I knew I was going to make the weight, plus I weighed in at 154. Like, that's the lightest I've weighed. Like, I wasn't even supposed to weigh.
That is wild.
Yeah.
You don't look 154 pounds, man.
Hey, man, not now, man,
Now, put it back on a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
154 pounds. Wow. That's wild.
Yeah. But, I mean, and so speak to those kind of troubles a little bit. So because it was kind of funny. I mean, we've mentioned it so far, but like we attempted to have you on our show prior to the fight, right? Mm-hmm. You couldn't make it once, then we couldn't make it once. Then the third time set up, you're like, I'm in the hospital.
Yeah.
Me and him are both like, yeah, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like we've been, we're
probably like bad luck to this guy, man.
Yeah, we're like, what is happening? And then you sent us a whole ass picture and everything. You called us on Fate. You were like, yo, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, damn, dude, he's actually in the hospital. Like, he's not even bullshitting us. This motherfucker's really in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
And which honestly, from a podcaster perspective, but even from a fan's perspective, being able to, see you go out and do your thing the way that you did, in that title fight was just that much sweeter, right? Because we kind of knew, like, we didn't know all the details, but we kind of knew, like, leading into it, like, oh, man, that's not good, But it, like I said earlier, that didn't even seem to phase you going into this fight either. So
man,
again,
you guys sent me positive messages and energy as well. Like, there was nothing I wasn't going to do that was going to stop. Like, even they were trying to say, oh, you're not going to be able to fight. You're not going to be able to do this. And I beat those odds, man.
Right.
Nah, man, we want nothing but the best, and we want all of you guys to be as healthy as possible. Like we've had plenty of fighters on at this point now, and every single one of them, we either catch them on their way into a fight or on their way after the fight, and win or lose, the message is always the same to them, because a lot of guys, a lot of these guys, once you lose, they don't want to talk about you. They're bringing you on. It's like, that's not what it's about. everybody's going to take an L at some point in their career. Everybody's going to face diversity throughout their career at some point. And if you don't have people who can still give these guys like you and other people the chance to like speak on it or talk about it, it's like, what's the point? Why are we podcasting? Why are we even doing these fight interviews? Like that pisses me off about other people who do podcasting or talk about MMA. Like the second someone loses or the second someone, like you say, make an excuse or something like that, it's like, well, there goes their name. It's tarnished forever, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and to me, that's bullshit.
Yeah. We always, we say the same thing to everybody that comes on here. If you've come on our show, you got at least 2-3 fans for life. If nobody else fucks with you anymore, know that Evan, Joel, and Nick from Over the Octagon will fuck with you for life, because that's how it's been. It's been like that for the last year and a half or so since we've been doing this, and it's always going to be like that. And especially, now we watch you go out there and fucking fuck some people up like that.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn.
That's love.
So that brings us to this, man. Let's talk about this. What's next for the undefeated interim lightweight cage fury champion Morquez Forrest? What is next?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. I honestly don't know. I can speak on what I would want to happen. But I think, well, in my opinion, I think they're gonna try to set something up for me and Watley. But as you guys know, I don't know if you guys know, but I guess he's waiting on the call to see if he gets a shot on Dana White's Contender Series or
okay.
I'm not sure.
And that you're talking about the current lightweight champion.
Yes,
right.
yes.
We're kind of aware, not fully, but we.
So that's what's going on with him. But listen, I don't want to wait on this guy. So what I've offered is, now if you got, you watched the post interview, I don't mind going up to 170 and fight, because I've heard that title is vacant. So I go up to 170 and fight. I've offered an open challenge to CJ for Fury Grappling at 185. And then obviously, if whatever happens with Watley, we would be fighting in July, But that's, again, I don't feel like I should have to wait on this guy. I don't want to have to wait. I respect him and I respect what he's doing. And if I was in his position, I would probably do the same thing. But now, I'm going to say that I'm the champion. I don't like the interim thing, because I feel like that's asterisk. So I'm like, okay, let me just go up to 170, fight for the vacant title, because I don't know if they have any plans for it. I don't know if there's something that's going on in Philly, but I'm trying to stay ready. I'm already back to training, because my mindset is I'm fighting again very soon. Like, that's just how I am.
And I was going to point that out, and that right there speaks volumes to your whole career. Because I mean, if you look back at your career, 2022 you fought 5 times, 2023 you fought 4 times. So you're averaging like a fight a quarter at this point in your career. I mean, is that the pace you're looking to push? Like,
oh yeah, man,
the whole time.
I'm back, man. I had to, I lost my coach in December, so it was a rough time. So I took the time off needed, but I found peace, man, and I'm more hungry than ever now. So it's looking scary Terry out here, and I'm just like, I do not want to wait, man. I don't want to wait.
Yeah,
well,
that makes sense.
You get to Dana White Contender Series,
Yeah.
Forget everybody else. We've seen all we needed to see. Make the call.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you both were undefeated going into that fight. It wasn't close, right? I mean, it was a definitive finish. So, I mean, as far as the lightweight champion, and that's the thing with the regional kind of MMA scene, it's unfortunate, but I get it, right? Like, what are we doing here? Like, if you think that you have a legitimate chance to take one of those opportunities, you're going to do everything you can to take it. I respect that. I completely understand that. Anybody in that situation would do the same thing. Yep. But it does kind of like, it throws a little wrinkle in everything else. Like, all right, well, what are we doing? Which I love kind of your open challenges and everything that you just laid out. It doesn't tie you just to him.
Right.
It doesn't tie you just to the 155-pound division. I mean, you're talking about grappling. You're talking about 170. Whatever. Which, from what I understand, and Joel, I'm sure you'll agree, like being lifetime fans of the sport and UFC, and that's what they want, right? Yeah. They want a guy that's like, don't care. Tell me when and where, I'm there. Oh, tell me when and where, I'm there, right? Not the, oh, I can't fight now. Oh, no, well, not him. It's not enough time.
He lost us for a second. Figure it out.
All right. But so, yeah, man, it's just great to see somebody with that mindset and attitude, that I'm sure, the higher ups in the top promotions are looking for a guy like you at the next level. Just good to see.
So, yeah, I wanted to ask a question because I know we had a little bit of technical difficulties, and I had a question I want to ask because me being the viewer from watching your fight, I kind of got a little pissed off at the end when you won, and you wanted nothing but to bring your family and people into the
why were they being weird about that?
And they were not letting you, man. And I'm getting pissed. I'm like, let him bring his freaking family in the ring. I'm like,
let his mom in the octagon.
Let him in there. And then I know you had, like, when you were talking, like, you get the mic and you're like, what is going on? Like, why can't I bring them in? Like, come on, come in. And then finally they let him in. And then you just see, like, the happiness and enjoyment of everyone around you. Like, that right there, those are moments that'll never be forgotten by you, your family, like the fact that they got to come in there and celebrate that win with you. But, like, what was going through your mind at the end when you were like, why can't they come in? Why are they, what's going on? Because I saw you getting kind of pissed off a little bit.
Oh, yeah, man. They almost brought it out of me. Because I respect the CFFC owner, Rob, so much, and I respect Aries as the matchmaker. I try to keep my composure, but
sure,
there's a lot of things in Jersey that just had me like, bro, like, you guys are trying to mess with my energy right now. Like,
yeah.
Like, from the weigh-ins up to the fight, from them telling me I can't wear a mask, like, bro, like I said, I had a whole walkout, like, and I couldn't wear.
Yeah, I remember you saying that,
bro. Like, it was so crazy. And shout out to CM Punk if CM Punk didn't say anything, I don't think my family would have been able to come to the cage, and I probably wouldn't have wanted to speak at all. But yeah, he basically told them, let his family in. Bro, it's the last fight of the night.
Right.
Why can't my family come in? Like, why are you guys being like, I get it. I'm the out of town guy. I get it. You guys wasn't expecting me to win. I was the underdog. I understand. But bro, it's the end of the fight. It's the last fight. Now, if they do that in Tampa, if they was to ever do that in Tampa, Tampa's probably gonna knock that cage down or something. They're gonna bum rush that. they can't say no. I wouldn't even advise them to say, but I probably wouldn't do that in Tampa though, because it'll get kind of crazy.
Yeah,
but it was nonsense, bro. I only brought like maybe 10 people. Even the people in the cage, that wasn't even everyone, like that was just a few people.
So who came up to the fight with you? I mean, you had family there. Who, aside from your team and stuff, what family came up with you to the fight?
So my mom, my brothers, team, and a few teammates as well. So yeah.
Were those your brothers that were in the cage with you?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, they were hyped, man. They were hyped, dude. I love that.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, because they've seen what I've been through, man. So
I love that. Yeah, they were super happy.
How is it then for them? Like, your brother, I mean, I saw your brothers too. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, they were like that. They would be how I would be if my brother just won a belt. But what about like your mom? I'm always interested. Like, we just watched UFC 300, and there was a video clip that came out afterwards of Justin Gaethje's parents watching the end of that fight, to which he got knocked out. And I'm always like curious, like, what that's got to be like. Like, how does your mom kind of deal with that? Obviously, she's never seen you lose a professional fight or amateur for that matter. But how is she as a spectator watching that stuff?
No, she hates it. Yeah. her and my second oldest brother, which my second oldest brother wasn't there. I have to force him to come to the fights. He just hates it. He hates to see it. And my mom is like that because she's like, the way I am, she doesn't think that I should be fighting. She's like, how could someone like you be fighting? Like, she just doesn't believe that I should be fighting. But I have a brother, my little brother Nissan. He's a boxer, and she feels different about him boxing versus me doing MMA. You know, because I walk around all smiling all the time. You know, my brother he doesn't do the same thing. Actually, he's the one that had the dress. He's the darker skinned one.
Okay.
But yeah, like, it's just different. Like,
yeah, he had his phone. He was like,
oh yeah,
we in here. I love it.
Yeah, she doesn't want me to do it, but she supports it because it's what I want to do. But she'd rather me just keep driving trucks, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you still driving trucks? Because I know you had mentioned you were driving trucks for a few years. I had heard that on a previous interview. You were talking about that. Is that still something you're doing on a regular?
Yeah, man, I'm still driving.
Still grinding.
I try to use the Drive to Succeed, you know, memo, because I do this, you know, the driving, because the driving is what it supports me to be able to do all my traveling.
Sure.
You have to make the money to be able to travel.
Make the money.
Yeah, man. So it's just, you know.
Sounds like you're able to afford being with a good team too. So I mean, you got good people around you, so that's good.
Exactly. Man, these gyms ain't cheap, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Equipment ain't cheap.
Same thing, like you had mentioned earlier, you're a nutritionist.
Yep.
And that really, like, out of all of the fighters that we've interviewed, especially on the regional scene, that a few have struggled with weight cuts throughout their career until they were able to kind of lock it down with a nutritionist and really kind of get on a path to success a little bit better. So the fact that you're able to kind of have that, you know, on your team and in your back pocket too, helping you out during training is massive, and definitely sets you up for success in the future for sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
But yeah, man, listen, we're going to let you get out of here. This has been awesome talking to you. Like I said,
finally,
you have, finally. And you have fans in the three of us. There's another co-host who's not with us tonight. Still got some folks
down in the dirty South, baby.
Yeah.
You already know.
Yeah. But you'll have fans from us forever. And we appreciate you coming on and taking your time out of your busy schedule and with work. I mean, we kind of deal with the same thing. So anybody that is willing to do that, you know, for us and give us their time, we respect immeasurably. So we appreciate it. And we're going to be watching out for your name as it pops up in the bright lights sometime soon. And
shout out your socials, shout out your team, shout out whoever you want, man, before you bounce.
All right, man. First of all, appreciate you guys for having me. So shout out to Top Brothers, the Gracie Network, Gracie Brandon, Gracie South Tampa. Shout out to Fusion out in Orlando. Shout out to Kaizen. Shout out to Champions MMA. Shout out to Twisting Tiger. Shout out to all my sponsors, Rain and Berries, KLD Kitchen, Ben with the Nutrition, K4 Studios, Team Reaper, Big Brooks Visual, and Felicia Bakery. Thank you guys for supporting.
Hell yeah. And we're gonna do it one more time on the outro. Dirty, give me your salute before we do it. Give me your salute. Ready? On the outro, just one more time.